For the unveiling. And then I'm going to ask members of the Get Yours posse if you could surround them and flank them.
You guys can go behind on both sides. GYP on both sides.
And if I can have some members of our city council, Glory, a New York State Senator, Ms. Gayton, Donna.
There's a few more family folks coming.
Okay, make sure that we have her. And we're all going to get ready on the count of three. Yes. We got one more family?
Yeah, some more family coming.
Is Donna over there?
Okay.
Where's Donna?
I'm here.
Okay.
Are you ready? We got family coming.
Okay. All right.
Doom! Yeah. And as we get ready to do this, I want to make sure that you all know that the art that you see on here is done by no other than Giselle Silva. If you could raise your hand, Giselle, I see you out there. And there's also the other piece of art there with the mask. Lunch, Louis Lunchbox. Where's Louis Lunchbox? Yeah. Can't make that up, Louis Lunchbox. All right, yes, peace. Leaders of the New School and Cracker Jack, go ahead, raise your hands, brothers. All right, are we ready? We're going to count it down from 10. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go! Let's go! KMD MF DOOM way.
Say it loud.
For those who want to speak with family and friends, we'll be gathering at the MLK Center for a couple of hours to about 5 o'clock. So you'll be able to actually talk, meet, and greet them.
Love you, big brother.
Love you too, family. Somebody say MF DOOM.
MF DOOM.
Say Subroc.
Subroc.
We dedicate this block
We dedicate this block
in the name of hip hop.
in the name of hip hop.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Sounds like the next song.
Now I'm gonna start this off like me and my brothers always have back in our KMD days. And we always began it with the Most High and with a prayer. The opening chapter of the Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. صدق الله العظيم. The faith of Islam is one of the things that brought me into brotherhood with Subroc and Doom. When I converted to Islam, they were the only other Muslims that I knew in town. I lived diagonal from where I'm standing right now. So it was nothing to pass down this block and see my brothers Doom and Dinga always on their porch with a couple other friends from the Get Yours crew. On skateboards, doing graffiti, coming back from runs, grabbing comic books, you know, just into the culture of hip hop. I didn't know them as well, but there's another incident that took place to bring me a little bit closer to them. One day as I passed by their house, about 2 or 3 houses down, there was a mean dog. You know, back in the days, everybody had big dogs. Now they have like these little pet toy dogs. They're real little and cute and all that. But back in the days, early to mid 80s, they had mean dogs, a lot of mutts. This particular dog named King was a vicious dog. So as I said my hellos, my peace, my salams to Doom and Sub and the rest of the team that was there, I began my journey to 7-Eleven. But before I got far, that mean mutt named King chased me back towards their house. They all scrambled. They knew the code, so they all ran inside the house. Now, I knew we wasn't that close, so I couldn't make it in the house. But when I ran on the porch, you know, as they jumped through the windows and ran in the door, they closed the window. So we wasn't that good of friends yet. So I went to push the window back up like I'm getting in here. And my hand went through the window, which I have a cut here to this day. The glass shattered, but that broken glass created a bond between me and those brothers. Because I had to get 7 stitches. And my brother, God bless him, Subroc, that day woke with me to the ER room to get stitched up. And we became that much closer after that. So a lot of us in Long Beach, we came from different crews, right? Everybody had their own hip-hop crew, you know, the breakdancing crew. And that was pretty much the formation of GYP, because Subroc was a barber. And when you're a barber, you're getting all types of different guests and company. Everybody from all over the neighborhood is coming into your home. So he was a unifier by his skill. But his mindset and his heart was such that, you know, barbers or contact professions, they have an ability to be able to provide therapy. They're good ears, they listen to you. So that's Subroc was the glue, he was the gel. You know, Doom as an older brother, he was always in the other room, most times, studying, reading books, watching documentaries, you know, always up to his craft. You'll see him staring off into the sky sometimes, just, you know, thinking about his aspirations to his plans. These brothers took me under their wing, made me a part of their crew. We were conscious young individuals. The old school graffiti crew was causing much damage. But when we became conscious, we decided to make that a positive cause in a much damaged society. Society was damaged because of all the ills that plagued black and brown people. We didn't have that knowledge of ourselves. The schools didn't teach us such. So we took it upon ourselves to travel into Bushwick, Brooklyn, almost every other Sunday, to study and learn a little bit more of our culture and our history. We began teaching that, so we became community organizers. We held meetings. We had youths of young ladies and young men, maybe 200 in number, where we meet and we discuss our history. We were self-taught in that regard. A lot of people don't know that Doom's name, his rap name backwards, was Zev Love X. Zev Love X means X evolves. He took the teachings of Malcolm X and incorporated that into his rap name. But he also took that by any means necessary to be able to achieve and accomplish what he needed to once we lost Subroc. Going on tour with these brothers, with the likes of leaders of the new school, which we have Milo, leader of the new school here right now, Brand Nubian, De La Soul, quite a few of our COS Moving Pete Rock, all of our label mates. These were like our big brothers. It was a conscious team of us. You know, but I'm so grateful that Doom and Sub decided to allow me to come on that journey. And it wasn't because I wrote rhymes. They actually forced me to rhyme. They said, you're coming with us. We're putting you in this group. This is how you write a bar. This is what a verse is. And, you know, I'm forever grateful for that love. They showed me the world in my youth. And in their passing, the world has been showing me them time and time again. Even in this crowd, man, I want to just thank everybody that came from all over just to be here today. This street has been a conduit, heavy traffic for us. And what's happening here today replays in my mind all the time, even before this day. Because you can't come past this block or down any of these streets without thinking about the contribution that they made and how they poured into all of our lives. And as great as we honor the supervillain on this day, I want everybody to just give a round of applause to Doom's family for being a support system. His personal family, his immediate family. I want to continue to send my prayers out to Doom's wife and his children, because in order for Doom to be super, he needed time to be able to work, and his wife gave him that. That's a superhero to me. Love you for that, Jasmine. Continue to pray for you and that family. But to the DeMille, the Thompson family, I love you all. Y'all know y'all my family. Y'all know I love y'all. You know, this is a very heartwarming day, and I know my brothers is looking down proud. I know they are. You know? But with that, I'll close out my remarks, man. I love you all. Thank you for this day. To the city of Long Beach, city manager, thank you for making this a reality. It's greatly appreciated. And to the committee, it's been great working with you guys. It's been fun and funny. You know, I had a couple of fights, but, you know, we got it done, y'all. And this means a lot. All right, if I forgot anything to say, if I missed anything, I apologize. But I love you all, man. Thank you. Peace.
How everyone doing? I'm not big on words, so I'm gonna keep it short. You know, first of all, I just want to thank the city manager, Donna Gaydon, Tommy Cantor, Lorenzo Lawless, the committee, Patrick, James, Alonzo, Q, GYP, Eric. Ahmed. I know I'm missing a lot of people. You know, y'all my big brothers. You know, without y'all, I would be nothing. Doom inspired me to do a lot outside of music. We all know the music legacy, but with me, you know, I was a little brother. You know, him and Sub was in my house, and I absorbed a lot from them. One of my last times speaking to Doom, I was going to London, and I told him I'd be there at my location. When I got there, I wasn't able to reach him, but I just wanted to speak to him one last time and tell him, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, everything you did inspired me. You know, you got me to this point, and I appreciate that so much. So I just want to say thank you, Tangi, to the family, everyone. This for Doom, this for KMD, GYP. Appreciate y'all.
But it is about a life. And as someone who not only cherishes hip-hop, while Washington didn't get it right, and that this dreamer didn't get the full citizenship he should have had, the city of Long Beach got something right by ensuring that his legacy on the soil in which he developed his talent is one where he'll never be forgotten.
This young lady I'm about to introduce is someone I think that you will see is full of life and love. His Aunt Lystra Rice.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Dr. Patrick Graham, facilitator for the KMD MF DOOM Way dedication ceremony. All of the Long Beach City Council officials and also any other officials present, friends, and all those who loved my nephew. Or that men would praise the Lord for his goodness and his words to the children of men. I want to thank God for blessing my nephew Subroc and Doom with their creative abilities. They are a product of a spiritual family who depended upon the Lord in all of their endeavors. I want to formally thank Alonzo Hodge and the young men who organized and eloquently presented the petition at the City Council meeting. My family is extremely grateful for your support and vision to memorialize my nephews Daniel Dumele, aka MF Doom, and Dingley's Ways Dumele, aka Subroc. They are gone too soon, but not forgotten.
Woo!
So as we gather here today to honor my late nephews as they are affectionately referred to as Dinga and Dumele, I feel extremely blessed to represent and share the proud sentiments of their aunts and uncles. I am from a family of 10, 8 girls and 2 boys. And we witnessed their youthful passion for music and their creative style that developed right here at 114 East Hudson Street. They worked tirelessly on improving their skills in their musical genre. They acquired their creativity and drive from their parents. Their mom, Ashlyn, who was 2 years older than me, had a special gift for writing. And their father, Daniel, an artist and educator, who met at an art show at the Kennedy Plaza, like around 1970. Doom and Dinga brought joy and excitement to the family when they performed at the Arsenio Hall show with their group KMD. I remember informing some of my students who were interested in rap music that my nephew had a group, KMD. They didn't believe me. They were in disbelief and wanted me to prove it. My nephew's musical talent was so widely recognized that a classroom of young, diverse students I was teaching in Forest Hills went crazy that when I mentioned that MF Doom was my nephew. I stand here reminiscing when my handsome nephew walked down the aisles as my Bible bearer in August 1977. There he is. He accomplished his task with charm, and now almost 44 years later, he has left a rich legacy. Thanks again for honoring Dumoulin legacy at the street sign, with the street sign KMD MF Doom Way.
Woo! Woo!
Auntie delivered as promised. Next is someone who also is very close to Doom because she was a sibling, a sister. And she has a voice in her own right. And I want to bring up to you now, Tingy Dumoulin.
For context, I started first grade here, so I was maybe 6 or 7, but that would make Doom and Raheem maybe in 5th grade, 6th grade, and maybe 4th grade. As a result of that, while I got foundation here, my brothers were entering into their formative years. So their foundations, we lived in Mount Vernon, we lived in Manhattan, we lived in Freeport. Everything that they, set as a foundation in terms of their music and their music career, I remember when I was, even 3 and 4 years old, them with record players that were, toys, scratching on, plastic, albums. So early on, they already had their plan and their blueprint set up. My brothers had their own ideas. Let's just put it that way. Sometimes they wanted to attend school, and sometimes they had other things that were more pressing and important for their goals. Now, I'm not encouraging I'm stay in school, kids. That's not. But what I'm saying is, very early on, they knew and understood what it is that they wanted to do, and so when we landed here, when we arrived here, they set out to, assemble a crew, assemble a team, and to mobilize and organize. Some people, just know them as classmates, but, they also, were part of a crew, GYP, and GYP, organized, so many things in this community that I was influenced by that time in my own formative years, and so proud of. They had their own ideas, they had their own mindset, and although my mother got notes, she understood. We are the product of a nurse, working class, and my dad was a science and math teacher as well as an artist. And so we already had our culture, already set up. We already understood how to create and how to express that creation out into the world. And so it wasn't about their behavior. Their behavior was such that despite what anyone was telling them about the way that they needed to conform in the classroom, they had, bigger dreams and bigger goals. So I think that the renaming of this street kind of represents a culmination and a full circle moment of everything that they brought with them from where we had been before we landed in Long Beach, and everything that we got from Long Beach, from the school system, from this community. And although they're not here with us, of course they're here in spirit, of course they're here in music, of course they're here in art, of course they're here in expression, of course they're here in the love that isn't just represented here, but of course there are people that would have loved to have been here today and all over the world through their own expressions of art, their own expressions of music. My brothers are living on in infamy, and I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of them and everything that they accomplished. And I'm so proud of them for sticking to exactly what it is that they set out to do. And they're not here because it was a job well done. So I want to thank everybody that's here, everybody that came to attend, everybody that's gonna watch any footage, anybody that is inspired and impacted by what it is that they left behind for us to continue to be able to appreciate. I want to thank the City of Long Beach for recognizing, despite not understanding initially, for recognizing, for taking the time to take a look at what was done by my brothers, and to see it for what it is, to appreciate it, and to give it back to this community. So I thank you guys.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Maurice Mitchell. I'm the child of Michael and Marlene. I'm the very proud cousin of Zev Love X, aka MF Doom, aka Victor Vaughn, aka King Ghidra, aka Daniel. We loved him. Those of us that loved him, we simply called him Doomale or Doom. Before I say another word, I'd like to acknowledge the MF Doom KMD committee for organizing this. I'm an organizer, so I have to always acknowledge the organizers. Thank you to the City of Long Beach for recognizing Doomale and Dingy's incredible legacy. I'd also like to acknowledge my family. There's a tribe of us here who grew up in Long Beach. We're now into our second and third generation here in Long Beach. I'm with my son Malachi, who's at 114 right now, my 5-year-old. I'd like to elevate my auntie Ashlyn, who's no longer with us. My cousin Raheem, or Dingy as we called him. And I have to be honest, when I was asked to speak today, I started to develop anxiety. Like in my career, in my path, I'm asked to speak a lot in front of large crowds, small crowds, and this is very different. I was looking at a blank page at 5 a.m. today, trying to wrap my mind around what could I say in 5 minutes to give Doom justice, and the reality is I would need 5 hours, and that still wouldn't scratch the surface.
Right, that's right.
Doom was many things to many people. To some a friend, to many an artist, to the world an icon. Whatever Doom you got was and is authentic. He was that layered. I would say though that we as family, we got the 360. We saw and loved and knew every version of him. We saw his humor and playfulness, his social anxieties, his idiosyncrasies, his care, his rare genius displayed on all levels, not just in the arts. To know him was an education. He breathed possibility into everything he did. And he did so many things well. He was hip-hop. And a master of all the elements of hip-hop. Back in the 80s, Doom was breaking at the boardwalk. He was a masterful DJ, a masterful producer, a masterful graffiti artist, a master in the science of emceeing and rhyming. And he was always studying, always curious. But more than that, he was a spiritual scholar, an organizer, a father who loved his family. Doom was as much a child of hip-hop as he was a product of and the synthesis of so many peoples and traditions and cultures, a father from Southern Africa. In fact, he was the first of four that donned these regal African names. Right. Dumale, yes. Dingalizwe, Dimbaza, yes. Tenjiwe. Yes. A mother from the West Indies, raised in rural poverty in southern Trinidad, with 9 siblings. He is the grandson of Henrietta, yes. Who came to this country as a domestic worker.
Yes, right hand
left her home and her family and her children to tend in the homes and for the families of other people, to send remittance in order to bring her family here. She was the protagonist and architect of our family's dream. And with that domestic worker salary, hustled and sent for her children, and eventually bought that house right there, 114. He was born in Europe, in England, and then raised here on these streets, and nursed by a uniquely African-American cultural experience and artistic context. Zimbabwe, Trinidad, the UK, Long Beach, New York. He's a child of the diaspora. Yes. He is the promise and the prayers of our ancestors answered. Yes. Yes. He is the product of the enslaved ancestors that left the continent, as well as the ancestors that stayed. Yes. Birthed in the womb of a woman that left the land of sugarcane to raise a god in the wilderness of North America. Yes. He had no choice but to be great. Yes. Because he was a child of Ashland, yes. A brilliant and passionate woman. The only woman in Long Beach I ever saw wearing a full niqab, the Muslim garb. Yes. Her tongue was filled with righteousness and power, so he had no choice but to be great, because he was the big brother of Raheem, a transcendent artist and leader, Subroc. Yes. An artist in his own right that changed the game. Tenjiwe and Dimbaza, his other younger siblings, he had no choice but to be great. Because he had a tribe, this big, beautiful, extended family. He was nurtured in a family context. We cousins, many of us. Some of you don't even know we're related, but we're everywhere in Long Beach.
Yes, we are.
We're more like siblings. We played and laughed and hung together, supported one another through all the trials and tribulations. I remember watching my sister Michelle and Doom roll together in the late 80s and early 90s during hip-hop's golden era, wishing I could be a part, but knowing I was way too young. He was a spiritual scholar, raised Muslim. Eventually his spirituality transcended labels. When I was young, although he was Muslim, he used to drop these jewels from the King James Bible to challenge my thinking, pointing out the most profound, esoteric, spiritual concepts, connecting that to astrology and physics and history and science and hip-hop. Yes. This was him as a teenager. He was a leader during the 80s, during the crack era. He built a crew, GYP, that was heavy here on these streets. That at a time in New York when there was so much tragedy and death, they represented consciousness, knowledge of self, study, brotherhood, sisterhood. Look at that legacy. Doom was a manifester. I'll tell a story. I said I was going to be brief, but I'll tell a story. I remember walking with Doom on the boardwalk for like a few hours after he had lost his record deal from Elektra, but before he began releasing new music. He laid out this vivid detail, this vision that would become reality over the next 20 years. this character, MF Doom, the other characters he'd be writing for, the multiple projects, all the ways that he would subvert the music industry that hurt him. Honestly, I was taken aback. I love my cousin, but I was skeptical. But, so from my standpoint, witnessing this all unfold, as he told me, exactly, it's like witnessing magic unfold in the world. I still sometimes I pause and wonder at how he was able to manifest this and how he's able to change the culture of the entire world. Not just hip-hop, but you could talk to rock artists and soul artists and jazz artists that have been influenced by MF Doom. So in a very real way, music as we know it will not be what it is if it wasn't for the children that grew up in that house right there. His ability to manifest is what has inspired me to manifest my vision, to stay focused on the plan, to trust my instincts. His life was a lesson. Some of you may know that I was instrumental in the birth of the movement for Black Lives, or how people call the Black Lives Matter movement. I could argue with sincerity that I would not have had the confidence or clarity or belief in my own vision to go to St. Louis during the height of the uprising for Mike Brown, or help build the architecture of a national movement, or run a national political party if Doom was not my cousin. I witnessed that man through his mind architect a cultural revival. So why can't I, also the grandson of Henrietta and Joe, themselves who out of the clay of Trinidad molded their own vision, not architect movements? He wore a mask and was able to do stuff so much with his anonymity. So how can I not be an organizer that behind the scenes helps change the world? See, we lived for a time together in my mom's house, and he was working on his albums in my mom's basement. I witnessed this man produce a classic hip-hop album in my mom's basement, weaving together Bobby Humphrey samples and Gil Scott-Heron samples, some records that he borrowed from my father's collection and never returned, and produced these cultural artifacts that happened right before my eyes as a young person. How can that not permanently affect somebody's worldview, witnessing that? How can that not elevate a child's consciousness? You know, I played in a hardcore punk rock group. That was all Doom. I tried to help birth the Afropunk movement. That was all Doom. He continued to inspire and lead until his last breath. My son Malachi is here. He's 5. I remember visiting Doom and his family when Malachi was 1. Doom was so clear. No longer touring, surrounded by his wife and children. I asked him about his artist life on the road, the prospect of doing more projects, and he had so many projects. It would blow your mind, especially the Doom fans. What was his focus? His family, his children, spending quality time with them, nurturing them. But the Doom that I met a few years ago in his home was grounded, and he was clear that it was family. And so I left his house, now being a new father, once again transformed by interacting with him. Which brings me to my last message. What I witnessed at Doom's feet elevated my consciousness. Through his life, he taught us all. All of us can benefit through the elevation of consciousness, that knowledge of self, that study and manifesting of the lessons derived from knowing oneself, so that we may not be stuck and spiritually small, but emergent and spiritually limitless. What do I mean by that? We go through natural stages of development. These stages are natural, but they're not inevitable. Some of us get stuck. There's some 50-year-old and 60-year-old and 40-year-old children out here. Right?
That's right.
So what Doom showed us in his relatively short life is how to transcend all those levels. Listen to his music. If you honor Doom, if you love Doom, figure out how you could grow from child to adult, how you could transcend to become a sage. He did that all in his short lifetime. So I want you to, when you go home, play a Doom joint, whichever one from his many projects, from KMD all the way down. Be with somebody close to you. If you're a parent, hug up on your child, and then practice your journey. Thank you.
Woo!
Hello, everybody. Fantastic day today. One more round of applause for MF DOOM and staff.
Okay, Mr. They put us up for, man.